Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to decode the incredible journey of neurotechnology. We're going from a huge government challenge to literally map the human brain, all the way to real devices that are changing people's lives as we speak. This is the story of a massive scientific vision, the amazing tools it created, and the messy, complicated reality of bringing all of it to the world. You know, the quest to understand the brain has got to be one of humanity's greatest challenges. A huge report on this whole thing put it perfectly. The brain is the source of everything that makes us human, but it's also what makes every single one of us completely unique. So when you're faced with that kind of complexity, where do you even begin? Well, you start with a grand challenge. Back in 2013, the White House announced a goal that was so ambitious, people were comparing it to the Human Genome Project. So today, we're going to follow that incredible path, from that one big scientific idea to real-world medical breakthroughs that are happening right now. So it all kicked off with this absolutely monumental goal, something framed as a grand challenge, not just for science, but for all of humanity. This was the moment the Brain Initiative was born. Now, the mission here wasn't what you might think. It wasn't about finding one single cure for one disease. No, it was way more fundamental than that. The goal was to build a whole new set of tools to see, map, and even interact with the living brain. The core idea, and this is really smart, was that if you just build the right tools, the discoveries, they'll follow. So they laid out this super ambitious 10-year plan, and they split it into two phases, which makes a ton of sense. The first 5 years were all about developing the technology, building the hammers and sensors of the future. The second 5 years, which is the phase we're in right now, is all about taking those amazing new tools and putting them to work to make brand new discoveries about how our brains actually function. Okay, so the whole initiative was focused on creating this revolutionary new toolkit for scientists. So what kind of instruments are we actually talking about here? What's in the box? Well, the plan was kind of twofold. First, to take technologies we already have and make them way better. A perfect example is deep brain stimulation, or DBS. This has already helped hundreds of thousands of people with conditions like Parkinson's. The Brain Initiative wanted to figure out why it works so well so that we can make it even more effective. But it wasn't just about improving old tech. It was also about developing stuff that feels like it's straight out of science fiction. And that's where something like optogenetics comes in. It is a mind-blowing technique that literally uses light to control specific neurons. I mean, imagine being able to flip a switch on a single brain circuit just to see exactly what it does. That's the wild level of precision we're talking about. And when you look at all these goals together, you see this really brilliant strategy emerge. It's like a roadmap. First, you create a parts list of all the brain's different cell types. Second, you map out how all those parts are wired together. And then finally, you build the tools to record and even control the activity that's flowing through all those circuits. The end game? A complete dynamic picture of the brain in action. Okay, so you have this massive, publicly funded science project that's focused on building tools and understanding the fundamentals. How does that actually turn into products that help people, right? That's the billion-dollar question. Well, this is where the private sector comes roaring in. You have these pioneering companies that take these advanced ideas and actually commercialize them. Take a company like NeuroPace. They built an implantable system for epilepsy that doesn't just stimulate the brain, it actually responds to it in real time. Or look at MindMaze, which is using sensors and software to create a digital therapy platform for neurorehab that patients can use in their own homes. You see, the Brain Initiative is thinking on this grand, decade-long scale. They have these lofty goals, like understanding the very nature of cognition. This is fundamental, long-term science. But, well, that operates on a very, very different timeline than the business world. A company like NeuroPace, they're on the front lines, and they have much more immediate goals, like hitting a record $27.4 million in revenue for the quarter. And this just perfectly illustrates the different pressures, right? Public science is playing the long game of discovery, while private business has to deliver value right now. And this brings us to what might be the single biggest hurdle in all of this. It's not the science, it's the system. Because having an amazing, life-changing piece of technology, well, that's just not enough. For a product to actually reach patients, it has to survive the incredibly complex world of healthcare economics. In the U.S. healthcare system, for instance, a huge step is getting what's called a reimbursement code. MindMaze managed to secure a Category 3 code for its digital therapy, and that is a huge deal. Think of it like a temporary pass. It lets doctors start using a new technology and, crucially, get paid for it, while the company gathers all the real-world data it needs to prove its value to insurers for the long haul. And listen, this isn't just a US challenge. Companies have to navigate completely different healthcare systems all over the globe. As you can see here, the strategy changes depending on the country. In Switzerland, it's about joining a big consortium to generate evidence. In the UK, it's about aligning with their national health guidelines. Each market needs its own custom strategy to prove a technology isn't just effective, but also cost-efficient. So when you combine that deep foundational science with the market-driven pressure to generate evidence, what you get isn't a simple handoff from one to the other. It's something way more powerful, a new ecosystem, a real synergy between the public and private worlds. I mean, think about it. These commercial devices aren't just treating patients. They are data-generating machines. MindMyList platform is processing over 1 billion data points every single month. NeuroPace's system captures years of continuous brain data from a single patient. For scientists, this is an absolute treasure trove. And this is what creates this incredible virtuous cycle. It starts with public money, like the Brain Initiative, sparking that foundational research. Then, companies commercialize the technologies that come out of it. But here's the magic part. The data from those commercial devices, data on a scale that academic labs could only dream of, gets fed back into basic science, creating new discoveries. It also lets companies use AI to improve their own therapies. It's this beautiful loop where everyone wins and progress just accelerates. So the ultimate question this whole journey raises isn't just about the technology itself. It's about what this all means for the future of human health, for recovery, and for our potential. As we move from simply mapping the brain to actively modulating it, we're not just fixing what's broken. We are beginning to understand and maybe, just maybe, even enhance the very thing that makes us who we are.